Welcome back to the Play by Play Podcast YouTube channel, and we are returning with the newest segment of the podcast, that being The Corner, where we report on all breaking news within the combat sports world. And today, we are focusing on an interesting one. We are looking at Ryan Garcia and his recent interview with Rematch magazine, where he stated that he wants to leave Golden Boy Promotions following his next fight. Now, look, to say I wasn't not surprised about this would be an understatement. There's always been a lot of tension at Golden Boy Promotions between mainly Oscar De La Hoya, with him being the promoter, and the fighters that he decides to promote. He had a very, very big falling out with Canelo Alvarez a couple of years ago, which ended with Canelo ending up leaving Golden Boy Promotions. And he just, in past years, has been very, very, very critical of the guys that he's beginning to bring up. And while he has done a really great job, especially from a lot of these Mexican American type boxers, of course, Canelo, Ryan Garcia, he has Jaime Munguia as of right now. He also has not done a great job in really keeping those relationships within a healthy space. So here is the article presented by Ring Magazine. I'm not going to go through all of it because it is a really great article, and I want to encourage you guys to go on the Ring Magazine's website and to actually read it for yourself, as well as read a lot of the news articles that they have on here. They're really, really well made, especially with a lot of these interviews. But in here, it is stated that Ryan Garcia ended up berating Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions on social media. That followed up with Oscar ending up responding to Ryan with a screenshot of an explicit text that he received from Ryan Garcia. And Oscar then, obviously labeled and insulted Ryan Garcia by saying that he had bipolar disorder, and also was very, very, very critical of Garcia's sporadic behaviors within the past year, and also his use of steroids. And in this article, they do a really, really great job with really going through the history of these two. I mean, there was an incident back in 2019, which is really where this all really started, when Ryan was preparing to face off against Romero Duno. But contract extensions with Golden Boy Promotions quickly went downhill. Oscar was being very, very petty when it came to wanting to give Ryan more money. Ryan also stated, within this article, that Oscar's team was not as encouraging and supportive to him following the loss to Tank Davis and whatnot. And of course, there has been multiple call-outs and multiple criticisms of Ryan throughout the past years. And again, this is not something that is really abnormal when it comes to Oscar De La Hoya. We've seen this all the time when it comes to his fighter relations. I mean, if you remember that, that huge lash out that he had in the press conference with Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia leading up to that fight, labeling Canelo Alvarez as ruining his relations with Golden Boy, ruining his career in some ways by using steroids and whatnot, and wanting more money and acting a lot bigger than he is. Whereas in fact, Oscar felt that he really helped bring Canelo to the spot that he was. I mean, Oscar is very flamboyant. He is very self-centered at times and really wants himself to be the star of the show. Now, I do believe with every story, there is always two sides. There is always two sides to every single story. I mean, and I believe it here with this story as well. I think that, Ryan is very correct. I think that Oscar can be a little bit too harsh at times, not as supportive as he really wants to, and very, very self-centered, and only really about wanting to grow his brand and his name. But I also think that Ryan Garcia has been in positions in the past where he has been very sporadic with some of the mental health issues that he has had, with his inability to really consistently fight multiple times per year. Sure, he normally always finds his way back to the ring almost every single year, but there hasn't really been that consistent year for Ryan within the past 4 to 5 years where he has fought 2, 3, 4 times a year, which is what you really need when you are an up-and-coming star in the boxing game. So the main question is, why is this a big deal, right? Why are we even discussing this? Why does it even matter that Ryan Garcia is potentially wanting to leave Golden Boy Promotions? And I think that it's important for two reasons. Number one, despite being similar to Tank in that Ryan doesn't have a lot of big time wins in his career and a lot of big time accolades within his career in boxing, he is still one of the biggest stars in the sport. He probably has the biggest social media footprint within the sport of boxing. The man has marketed himself in a very, very smart way. He's targeted himself a lot with the youth, being in interviews and podcasts with guys like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, doing collaborations with those guys and other YouTubers, and really bringing himself as a household name when it comes to, younger kids and even, teenagers and young adults. And I think that's shown not only in his fight with Tank Davis, but also the crowds that he brought with fights like Devin Haney, with fights like Rolly Romero. Like, Ryan has shown that he can sell fights, that he is a big time star. But the second reason why this is really important is because Ryan is in a really weird position right now when it comes to his career. He lost his last fight to Rolly Romero, where he did not perform at all. I'll even say it was very non-performance from Ryan Garcia. He did not look focused, didn't look like he really wanted to be there, and he just didn't look up to form from where we had seen him the previous year against his fight against Devin Haney. And speaking of Haney, despite looking great in that fight and winning that fight, there was once again a lot of sporadic behavior leading up to that. He ends up getting popped for steroid use, which ended up getting him a 1-year suspension. So Ryan virtually has two real losses in the bank back to back. And his name is really, really beginning to slope down and really beginning to kind of level out when it comes to big time boxing fans, because they are very, very unsure what version of Ryan they're really going to get. Was the version of Ryan that they saw against Devin Haney, just because of the steroid use? And also, can Ryan win the big one fair and square? I mean, 3 times in a row, Gervonta Tank Davis, Devin Haney, and Rolly Romero, he has not been able to pull out the win in a clean situation. These are the questions that are rolling through the fans' minds right now, and one of the reasons why Ryan Garcia's stock has fallen so much, and one of the reasons why his next fight is very, very crucial for him now that Oscar is not really on his side as a promoter. It is very, very important for Ryan to get this next fight right and to be able to actually win that fight in a very stunning performance. Now, the biggest question of all to answer is, what is that for Ryan? What is that next step? What is that next fight? And if you look at this interview with the Rematch magazine, Ryan said that he wants to return this year. He wants to come back at the end of the year in December, and he's picked out 3 potential opponents that he wants to go ahead and fight. That is the rematch with Rolly Romero, a fight with Manny Pacquiao, or a fight with Teofimo Lopez. And judging on the names that I just named, I would say, if I had to give an estimate, that there is about a 50% chance from just those 3 names that we do end up seeing Ryan Garcia come back in the year of December. And here's why. Number one, I really don't know what is going on at this moment with this Rolly Romero, Manny Pacquiao, and now Ryan Garcia love triangle in the world of boxing. Like, there were reports a couple of weeks ago that Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero were in advanced talks to finalize their rematch for December. But then just recently, a couple of days ago, with Jerome Boots Ennis officially vacating his welterweight title and Rolly Romero being promoted to the regular WBA champion, there has been a lot of talk from boxing analysts, from Boxing News, pushing this narrative and this fight between Rolly Romero and Manny Pacquiao. And if those two end up fighting, Ryan is kind of screwed. Now, yes, it could be a situation where Manny ends up rematching Mario Barrios, and then Rolly and Ryan end up having their rematch. That is definitely a big-time situation. That would definitely be the best-case scenario for Ryan. Also, a fight with Manny Pacquiao would probably be a really great scenario if he could end up getting that fight, because not only would it sell big-time pay-per-views, it would be a big-time passing of the torch moment, but it's also a fight that I think that Ryan could really, really win with some of the aggression that he showed in the Devin Haney fight and just his fast hands that he has on hand. But it's the third fight that Ryan wants that makes me doubt it the most, and that's with Teofimo Lopez, because Teofimo has showed himself to be quite difficult to work with for really any promoter. He had, before Devin Haney was set to fight Brian Norman Jr., he was set to fight Devin Haney, then had a little bit of a run-in with Turki Al-Sheikh. Then they kind of amended their relationship, and now there's not really clear ground to where those two really stand. Are they friendly again? Are they not? And with, Ryan, whether he's with Oscar or not, with there being a potential collaboration with Riyadh Season with Turki Al-Sheikh, he's going to need Turkey on his side to be able to pull the weight of these fights, especially if Oscar is not going to be willing to put him in a big time fight, which maybe he would be willing to if this is Ryan Garcia's last fight with Golden Boy and wanting to just cash in on everything that he can. From there, Ryan really has two big time options when it comes to promoters. It's either Eddie Hearn with Matchroom Boxing or, of course, Riyadh Season. Either way, I think that the big matchup would obviously be the Devin Haney rematch. I think that's the fight that, while there's been a lot of hype and confidence lost from that fight, because of the Times Square card, I still think that a lot of people would love to see that because there's narrative, there's story behind that fight, there's controversy to that fight right now. Those two sold the last fight really well, and I think that they're a really great style matchup against each other, and one that Ryan can really win and begin to really get his career back on track. And I think with either Eddie or Turkey a la Sheikh, I think either that can happen. And right now, I think that we are still in a really good situation to make that fight happen. If Haney can get past Brian Norman Jr., that would be a big time win for him and would notch him a belt within the welterweight division. And then whoever Garcia decides to come back with, whether it's Romero, whether it's Pacquiao, if he can win that fight and if he can do it in devastating fashion, which he needs to do to be able to, skyrocket his name once again to the top, that rematch all of a sudden becomes more and more intriguing than it ever has been. And then hopefully we can do that either the beginning or the middle of 2026, which would be one of the bigger events, that we've seen in recent history in boxing. But ultimately, those are my thoughts on this matter. Let me know what you guys think down below within the comments section. Do you think that we will see the return of Ryan Garcia by the end of the year? Do you think that he will potentially be able to amend things with Oscar De La Hoya and sign a contract extension? If he doesn't, who is next following his fight in December, and who do you think he will be signing on with? And what does the future of Ryan Garcia really hold? And can he bring his career back and be able to put on big time fights that we've seen from him in the past and be able to win those in a clean situation? So let me know about all those down below in the comment section below, as well as subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, and sharing with your friends. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on all social medias, that being TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those ads are going to be down below. We're on all those social medias. You will get to see my latest reactions to breaking news within the NBA, the NFL, and now combat sports. And you will also never miss for whenever the podcast decides to upload an episode. And without further ado, guys, that is all that I have for you guys today. I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great start to your week, and peace. This is just a warning.